What's up guys, Caleb here, and today I'm going to show you how to speedrun the intro stage in Mega Man X as fast as possible. And one thing that's important is knowing what control scheme that you want to use. Ever since I started been speedrunning most games, I use the default control scheme. Notably for Mega Man X, I use the default. So Y is shot, B is jump, A is dash, select is obviously nothing, but L and R, they swap your weapons, and obviously start is going to go into your menu. Ignore these options. These are just practice ROM options. Don't want to, no, we'll do that. But anyway, basically, it's really important that you figure out the control scheme that you want to use for your speedrun. That's the most important thing about starting, is getting a controller layout that is comfortable for you. Because you're going to be, I mean, speedrunning, guys, it's just constant button mashing, and it's a lot of wear on your hands. So you want to be the most comfortable, and if default is the one that you are most comfortable with, then go with that. However, I'm going to show you... Okay, cat. Okay, he's going to help apparently. I'm gonna show you a couple different things that you can do as far as option. But there are a few options that you can use for the default. So anyway, for default control scheme, what you're going to typically do for me is I have a controller cam here, is I'm going to do what's called the claw. And the claw is whenever you hold your index finger on the dash and then use your thumb to shoot and dash at the same time. Now, if you're an L dasher, that's what they're called, typically a lot of Japanese runners do that. From what I hear, they just play a lot of Mega Man Zero, so that's the case of why they're L dashing. They do a different thing. If you like L dashing, R dashing, you know, some of you guys might even like using X for the dash button. I don't know, but that's up to you entirely. But this is your basic form of movement. This is going to be this. And I'm going to come up a little closer. Now this is going to be hard to get used to. But if you use default control, you're probably going to have to do this. Some people, like my friend Tiki, he likes to fat thumb everything, so he's got a giant thumb apparently, and he just kind of uses that. I mean, fortunately the X button is not used in this entire run, or these games, you know, unless you map it to something. But he just uses the entire thumb to move around that way. You can do that too. But I prefer to do the claw. That's just how I do it. That's how I've always played, even as a kid. It's insane. So there's that. Also, another thing that you guys need to note is that I'm also using a Super Famicom controller. The buttons on the Super Nintendo controller are convex or concave, whichever one it is, that because the X and Y buttons, they dip in, and then the B and the A, they're like these. You know, they're sticking out. But in the Super Famicom controller, for me it's a win-win. The only drawback is that the cord is literally like 3 feet long, versus a Super Nintendo controller maybe like 5, 6 at least feet long. So, but the advantages of these controllers are just, they are so much better. They're more durable, more responsive, they feel better. The D-pad's better, the buttons click more, and then the face buttons, they just feel better. I mean, they're probably a little cheaper, and they do work with standard Super Nintendo, or a Famicom, or SNES Mini, all types of Super Nintendos, except for, you know, the SNES Classic, or whatever that's called. The one they released with all the things on it, but yeah. I would recommend these. Go to eBay, find your seller. But anyway, now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and play the intro stage of Mega Man X. I'm going to teach you how to beat it as fast as I can. Or you can, because you're going to do it. Okay, here. So, one basic tip, and let's go ahead and pull up our timer here. Pull up our timer here just for resourcefulness, you know, just to see how fast that you can beat it. Now, I'm going to go over the fundamentals. So, whenever you want to start your game, make sure to mash the start button whenever you start your game, okay? Now, this is a practice ROM, so it's not going to be the same. So now, I'm going to be using the practice ROM, so it's going to look a little bit different. In this case, all you have to do is hit down, and this will select the intro stage. But it's just the same. I wouldn't, you know, don't worry about it or anything. Now I'm gonna put a save state here, okay? Now I'm gonna go over techniques of mashing. Okay. Now with mashing is very important on this level. Now, the reason you have to do that is because there are bees and blue guys that you have to actually go through to make this as quickly as you can do. What you have to do is you have to do this. Now I'm going to explain. Now this might look a little bit hard to do at first. As you can see there, I didn't have to stop whenever I went through them. Whereas somebody who's not super good at mashing, you know, jump over this guy like this, you know, just say this is the quickest you can do that. No. So, mashing is really important for this intro stage, and you're going to be doing it a lot. So, basic fundamentals of mashing is I actually like to use my wrist. This is gonna definitely take some practice. I've been doing this for so many years. As you can see, my thumb is barely moving at all. It's just gyrating on the actual button. Some people like to be a little more aggressive. They like to flex their arm and then go up and down like that. Like, I don't like that very much. So I just kind of hold my controller on the left side, support it, and then mash with my right thumb like that. It doesn't look very fast because you can only have 3 shots on the screen, but if you can hear this, those are all shots. So it's a little bit faster. Now, another way you can do this, you cannot move when you do this though, because you're using both hands. This is called the double mash. This is when you do this. Now you're going to be using both thumbs to execute that action. And you can hear how quickly I'm shooting now. Like, that's about as quick as you're gonna get. Now, I switch on and off my methods of mashing for this intro stage, so the Bs are actually going to be used with the double mash, because it's a lot faster. Now, let's go ahead and get to the intro stage. Granted that you can mash. Guys, if you can't do this, if you can't mash all the way through this guy without stopping, don't worry about it. You know, it only costs maybe a second to do that, so I wouldn't, don't worry about it. Let's go ahead and get started with learning how to speedrun the intro stage of Mega Man X. First off, you're going to hold the charge until it's yellow. Now you can just hold it here. It's yellow is the highest you're going to get. And obviously you're going to jump over this guy and do that. You're just going to mash. And like I said, if you're not able to kill him without stopping, don't worry about it. It's fine. So let's do that again. Just like this, go forward, charge, jump, mash. Very simple. Now, the next part. What I like to do is I like to release the charge. You're going to be charging a lot on this stage, so if you have trouble holding the shoot button down and then jumping, I would work on that, because that is it's a volatile fundamental for the speedrun, but most importantly this intro stage. So, as I said, I like to do this, and then you're going to release a green shot. Now, it looks different because I'm not going like, I'm not going as fast as I can, so mobs will spawn. But this is what it's going to look like whenever you do this correctly. So release, green shot, and then you go forward like that. So yellow, green shot. Very simple. It's like this. Yellow, green shot. And then you just keep moving forward. The key to speedrunning is obviously don't stop moving. But for this intro stage, you might, if you don't move correctly, you might respawn mobs or something like that, you know, and then that causes time loss and lag, as you can see right there. So anyway, jump off of here, and then this is going to take maybe a little bit of practice here. The blue shot that you're going to shoot, it's going to hit the bottom of these things, because if you hit the top, it won't go through, right? So if you hit the bottom of it, and the blue shot has a pretty large hitbox whenever it comes to hitting things. So like this. You can see how far below I was. It didn't even look like the shot was hitting the bottom of it, right? So you have a lot of leeway here, okay? So you're going to do that. Green, green, yellow. Don't worry about these guys. They're fine. They are going to cause some lag, but that's fine. There is another strat that saves a tiny bit of time. That does kill them, but it's also incredibly hard. Probably not a very good idea to show that in the beginner video. So anyway, like this. Blue, yellow, or green, green, and then yellow. So one more time. Blue, green, jump, green, mash. Just like that. You're going to do the same thing for this guy. Except, if you can get a yellow charge, that's fine. A green one's fine too. It's going to take a few less bullets to actually kill him. Like, sometimes I don't get the yellow charge, and it really doesn't matter. But, guys, once again, if you can't do this without stopping, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay? So, once again, go through, and then mash. Let's say if you got to stop a little bit, that's fine. Now we're going to get on to the bees. The not so fun part of the speedrun.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes! Ah!
I'm going to make a save state here, and I'm going to go over the bees, what they can do. So right there, he shoots at me with this gun. That does 1 damage, okay? He might do something else now. So based on what they can do, right there, for example, he shoots the missile. And guys, this is entirely random. There's no way to manipulate this, as far as I know. You shoot the missile, and then sometimes he doesn't even shoot at all, and you just run into him and he does 4 damage, like that. Except you're not going to intentionally jump into him. Now, the damage that you take from these attacks, they are going to be important for later, because you're going to do an optional strat called Tas Cars. I'm going to get to that much later, though. You want to be very careful. So, if he doesn't shoot at you at all, you will die within 4 hits, because the raw bee damage does 4. The gun does 1, and the missile does 2. Now, it's very important that you take into account the damage that you take from the bees. So, I mean, obviously don't die, but the TAS strat, you can actually take advantage of that. But we'll get to that later. Since practice ROM, it's a little bit funky. Whenever you die, the music doesn't carry over, so we're just going to die here, let the music reload, and then start it back up like that. Okay. So anyway, this is what you're going to do. Same way that you mash with the blue guys. You're going to go forward. Now, this is also jumping and mashing. So that's a really tricky part too. So just mash, and then you're going to do your best to jump and mash, right? And this is a very tricky skill. And I have trouble doing it too. It's really hard. I'm just showing you basically like how tricky it can be. If you're not able to jump and mash, it's not a big deal. You can just get to the side of them if you can, because you're gonna take this damage regardless, right? And that is inevitable. This is very basic. You're just gonna mash literally as quickly as you can, and you want to get to the right side of the bee as quickly as possible, so you can get behind them and then damage them. So this is what it's gonna look like for a beginner. Somebody who's probably not very good at mashing, you know, like that. That's not bad. That's not bad. But then, this is where the double mash comes into play, as I was explaining earlier. Like this. See how I killed him before he even went back up on his other cycle? Now I'm going to show you how much time I save versus a beginner. So we're going to load the state, and then we're going to set the timer as soon as we load. So this is a beginner. Somebody who's not so good at mashing. 8:43. Now, versus somebody who's very fast at mashing. That's almost 3 seconds that one person who's very good at mashing can save just on that one bee. So, as you can see, mashing is very important. So, it's pretty important that you... mashing is a skill that's honestly very difficult to master. So after you're done with that, we're going to make another save state. This is very simple. Just walk forward, shoot these guys. Do not collect this health unless you're feeling like you're kind of scared in this next section. Same thing. Like that. No big deal. You want to keep walking forward. Kill this guy, pick up that extra life if you get lucky. I wouldn't worry about these guys. Now, honestly, this is very simple. It's just a matter of walking forward, making your jumps, and just destroying these bees. You don't even have to do it the exact same way. It's just simple platforming. Is all that is. So one more time. Just walk forward, kill those guys, and then, you know, this will take some practice if you're having trouble with it. Now, what we're going to go over here is we're going to jump at the very bottom of the slope, and I'll tell you why. As you notice, if you're walking down a slope, you can physically see that Mega Man X is moving faster. Also, whenever he jumps on a slope, he jumps higher. So compare this to this. See how much higher he jumped? Not just because he's higher up, because even at the bottom of the slope, right here, look where his hands are. And then at the bottom of the slope, much higher. This is called a slope jump. Slope jump is whenever you're walking down a slope and you can actually gain movement speed and jump height. Now, the reason why we want to jump on the bottom of this is to retain that movement speed, so we can retain, you know, it just makes things faster. So, but whenever you land, you'll go back to normal movement speed. So it's just a matter of jumping at the bottom, and, you know, obviously you're gonna get more movement speed if you jump at the very bottom of that wedge versus like right here. You're gonna get more. You're gonna keep more of that speed. So anyway, we're almost at the end, guys. What you want to do is, before these guys get on screen, you want to kill them. A lot of the times they can drop life and cause time loss. And then, this is the key right here. For enemies in this game, you want to kill them before they even really appear on screen. That way, it's not only faster, but you can avoid, drops that may cause time loss, and you can avoid them. So, that's important. So about right here is like when I like to shoot. And a little bit earlier, like that. And then the same thing for that. So you can see the distance there. So, now I'm going to explain a strategy called Tas Cars. And you don't have to do this. It saves around a second. 50 frames or so. And the importance of this is just you're utilizing your excess HP to take damage, and then you're going to go on top of the cars and ride them, and you're going to gain movement speed that way. It's a little hard to imagine right now, but whenever I show it to you, you'll understand. So once again, this is what it's going to look like if you don't choose to do this method. You're just going to destroy the cars just as normal. Actually, oh my, yeah. Okay, I forgot how to do that for a second. I'm not used to doing that. Okay, so these guys generally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this doesn't require very fast mashing. They only take 5 shots to kill, and then once they destroy the top part, you can just jump right over them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's going to be one at the very bottom here as well. If you shoot a charge shot, it just makes things a lot easier. So let's say you're going to go for Tas Cars now. Okay? Tas Cars. It's a pretty tricky strat to understand and to, do well. There's also a bit of randomness in it too, so it makes it annoying. So for this, you're going to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to jump, and then this is where it gets a bit tricky. So this is what it's going to look like whenever you do Tas Cars. I'm going to make a save state here. And what you want to do is do a yellow shot, do a green shot right after, and then another yellow shot. So it's going to look like this. Now, as you can see there, doing this is a bit tricky on the timing, because right after the green shot, you're actually releasing another shot. So you're getting three damage on them in total. So it's going to look like this again. And then as you come down here, this is where I'm going to make a save state. You see all that extra ground that I covered? So as you get hit here, you want to jump and shoot. You want to hold right the entire time. And you want to jump and shoot at the exact same time when you're inside of the car. It's going to destroy the top one. And then you want to basically walk all the way forward. And then jump so you can avoid the bullet there. And then you're going to get hit by the car. And you're going to allow him to pass through you because of iframes. And then once he gets as far as you can manage to... You basically want to time it where your iframes persist until they... Because if your iframes run out, he's going to hit you again. And that's going to mess up the strat. So as you can see this right here, jump, hold right, and then do that. And see all that extra ground that we covered. Now another trick too is if you have 6 HP, you can do this. There's different strats for Tas cars. 4 HP cars, 5 HP cars, 6 HP cars, basic, different ones allow you to do different stuff. So it's going to look like this. If you have more HP than necessary, you can do this. Now check out this little tip. I'm going to intentionally take damage because the checkpoint is this little flagpole thing in the background or something. Now I'm going to do this right there, so I cover some extra distance. So you save a little bit of time there. Okay. This is the ship. This is very annoying. Do not pick up that health. Because you want, for here, you want to be 6 health or below. That way Vile captures you immediately. Otherwise, it takes a while for him to punch you down and deplete your life. So when I here, once again, what you want to do is, whenever you're killing the cars, you want to mash pretty quickly. Now, the first one is fine, whatever. The second one, however, you see the right side of the ship? How I let it go towards the right side like that? Now, that little red lip, that little red lip, you want that to be about right there, where I let it, and then sometimes it's just random, so it doesn't always get to the side that you want it to be on, but that red lip that's underneath, where the car comes out, you want that to be pretty far to the right, and you'll get a feel for how close you want it to be to that right side there. So that's about where you want your ship right there, whenever you kill that second car. But sometimes the ship can go a little bit too far to the left, it can go a little bit too far to the right. It's all just very random. But the most important thing is to kill the car as quickly as you can. Just like that. Sometimes it's in the middle. So after you kill the second car, Vile's going to come down, and this is where it's very important for you to have 6 HP or less. And then Vile, based on how he captures you, it's random. He can sometimes go far to the right, he can come up straight to you, he can dash at you. Just get into a position where it's quickest for him to capture you. Okay? And that's about the best way to do the intro stage. Now, I'm going to do a run-through of my own, and then I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to do a one-take intro stage, and I'm going to time it and show you how I do it and explain everything. I'm going to go to the beginning of the intro stage. As soon as I land, I'm gonna start the timer, and you're gonna see how fast I can do it. And then you can kind of compare those results with how you do it. Okay? So you're gonna land here once again. Timer start. So you can see there, mashing as quickly as you can. The green shot, the blue, the green, and then the blue. Just like that. Now here, right here, this is important. If he does not shoot again, this is something that you may have to do. Just like that. A lot of the times, during the speed run, I'll reset because of that, because it's just a little bit slower. So, that's not a big deal. It's only like 30 seconds into the run. But it is considered bad luck if you get what's called double passive Bs. So that's not something that you want, generally. This health pickup doesn't seem like it would help me very much. It only loses time, but it allows me to do TAS cars as optimally as I can do that. So I'm going to do this again. Like I said, if you're a beginner, don't worry about it. Now I'm going to take damage intentionally here to get down to 3 health. You know, if you get down to 6 or below, it's fine, but 3's good. Now watch this. Again, with the ship. I want that red lip to be on the right side, and that was perfect. You see how it didn't move at all? And that's what you want. And then you can do that. And like I said, Vio's very random, and we're going to split on when he grabs me. Okay, so 158. Now, I will say this, though. Upon starting your file, your speedrun, you start the timer on game start, and that usually takes about 5.7 seconds. So, for that, you know, that'd be like a 2:04 or something. My fastest intro ever was a 154.9, and I've only gotten that twice. Average is about 157, you're going to find. But guys, if you get frustrated with the intro stage, trust me, it's the worst stage in the game. Don't worry about it. Just going to practice it, get to going, and that is the quickest way to beat the intro stage in Mega Man X. Alright guys, that's today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. The intro stage, once again, it's the worst stage in the game. It requires a lot of mashing, and that'll teach you the basic fundamentals of speedrunning Mega Man X. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you like the content, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and my Twitch, and more importantly, don't forget to sub to the YouTube channel. Thank you.